Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to another episode of Glass Half Full, a podcast and a safe platform where we talk with a variety of teachers, entrepreneurs, spiritualists, uplifters, givers, shakers, and serenaders. Everyone has a lesson to learn and a lesson to share. Let's use our life experiences to enrich someone's heart, mind, spirit, and soul. Through sharing our experiences, we can be a learning inspiration for one another. I'm your host, Chris Levins. Let's welcome today's guest. Today's guest is Laurie Parente. Laurie Parente is well known in mediumship, angel connections, and meditative healing journeys. As the CEO and founder of Parente Inner Harmony Academy, Laurie offers private one-to-one sessions and quarterly live Reclaim Your Light healing courses. Her passion lies in fostering genuine connections for her clients with their inner wisdom and spiritual support teams. Let's give a warm welcome to Laurie Parente.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, and welcome to Glass Half Full. We are so happy to have you tonight. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. Can you tell everyone where you are in the world and what time it is, please?
I am in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and it is just past 8 p.m.
We thank you for this evening chat time. Okay, we're going to jump right on in. I like to ask all my guests this first question. I believe that our lives are in spiritual design. Can you share your life layout or blueprint with everyone? This is how you grew up, your family lifestyle, all the way up until today.
Well, I'm entering my wisdom years, so almost 60, so that could take a while, but I'll
you're
give
still
you
so young.
Well, you're sweet. So I also believe that we have a spiritual design, a blueprint in our lives. But I believe it from a spiritual point where we have experiences that we hope to grow through in our lives. And we work with our soul family before we incarnate, and we bring in different aspects of ourselves as we go along. So all of the experiences of being born and raised in Calgary, Canada, so close to Banff National Park and the Rocky Mountains, and having 2 parents and 4 siblings and this big crazy life filled with music and sports, all of that stuff in my my early life led to what I do now. So I did go to university for a psychology degree. I'm married with 4 beautiful grown children, and I love anything to do with spirituality, with angels, with guides, with mediumship. And I really believe I came here to grow through grief, to grow through abandonment, to grow through the experience of feeling muted. And once I grew through those, I was able to help others to find their voice and to find their connections to their team in spirit.
Wow. And did you grow up in a spiritual household?
I did not. No.
Okay.
So, as a young child, I was sick. I was in the hospital for the first 2 years of my life. So angels were my friends. They were my buddies. They were my pals. And then talking about that with my family didn't go over so well. So I learned very early to keep this to myself.
Now, when you're saying that they were your friends at this young age, you were able to communicate with them, or they were able to communicate with you?
Right. They were just part of my reality.
Okay, let's touch a little bit on this, because people are like, "What?" Can you give us an example of what would be happening? Would you be in a special place? Would you see them? Would they always be with you? Can you share a little bit more?
Yeah, they were They were always with me. I think many people talk about having imaginary friends,
Yes.
and that is what angels are for me. For young people, they are their imaginary friends. I didn't know any different when I was little. I spoke to them, I played with them, I hung out with them. It was just my experience.
And how were you communicating?
Telepathically, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was it that they looked like? How did they come to you?
It depended on who it was, and it's still the same today. Different shapes, colors, forms. Sometimes they would be more formed, and I would see like what we would think of as an angel with big white and wings and the halo and the whole bit. And other times it would just be an orb of light
Mm.
or a symbol. I try to not press on other people my experiences that way too much, because it's so important for people to have their own experience
Hmm.
of what angels feel like and look like to them.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Um, so from that, is that what inspired you to be working with the angels? How did you come into dealing with being a like an angelic guide and the work into that?
So, early experiences, as I said, taught me to keep it very private, and really have it be just something that was my own thing. But they were always with me, and I would know things about people or situations or things that were going to occur in people's lives, but I just kept it to myself. And as I matured and I would start saying things, people would say, "How do you know that? Like, you couldn't know that about me." And at first, I kind of thought there was something wrong or I was doing something that people didn't like. But as I started to trust more in the messages
Hmm.
and the guidance, and people started to really respond positively to that, then I realized, this is here for a reason and I'm here to share it.
Mm. Wow. And so what age is this when you realize that this is a gift?
My mid 40s after
Oh,
my kids
wow.
were,
Okay.
yeah, oh yeah,
Nothing
after
wrong
my
with
kids.
that. Nothing wrong with that. I was expecting like, I'm a teenager. Okay. It happened
No,
later.
yeah, for sure. Once my kids were grown and I'd already had a pretty full career in music, it just started to really come into my experience so much more often. And I started to trust it more and I started to speak it more.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. What is it that you did in music?
I grew up playing the pipe organ and the piano, and I was an accompanist and a teacher and worked in musical theater. Just,
Oh, wow.
had a lot of fun in music.
Nice. My career background is well, my career now is in music and my past career as well in performing. I'm in the teaching aspect of mostly now, but oh, nice. Ooh, the pipe
Yeah.
organ. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot going on with that. Yeah.
It's not something too many people play now, but it was pretty fun to do as a kid, a teenager in my 20s, to play in churches, and
Yes.
it's a fun instrument. You're using both hands and both feet,
And I was
so
about to say those feet are going full on underneath, pedals pushing. Yeah, it's a lot
yeah,
going down. Oh,
using
that's
your
awesome. Awesome.
whole brain.
Yes, this is it. And some.
Right.
And some. Nice. I want to speak about you working with your clients and or working with people. Um, what happens in a session? Can you give us an example or maybe share a story of something that has happened in the past? How does it work? People come to you. What happens?
So it's never formulaic, like it's always so individual, because people will come with their own beliefs, their own things that are ready to heal, their programming, everything that they've dealt with in their life. And it's my job to, reach into everything that they're dealing with and kind of help them to clear it up. So what happens is I connect with my team in spirit, and my team in spirit is connecting with the clients, and they're relaying messages to me, and it will be around physical health, mental health, spiritual health, balance. It will be about early trauma, early grief, anything that they are ready to heal through so that they can open themselves up to the more light and the more abundance and the more magic in the present moment. Spirit will come through, their ancestors will come through. Often we will do what I will call shamanic journeys, where we help them to release and to understand and find clarity. So it's kind of a big, huge umbrella of things that are happening. And then we add the healing in there. And people are so capable of healing in all areas of life. And we work on that, and then we work on getting them connected with their angels, their guides, their loved ones, so that they can be the channel to connect into guidance.
Okay, so they're also learning the skills to be able to basically make this connection without you being there.
Right. That's always, I'm here to inspire others to tap into their spiritual teams. And we all have that channel. It's not like we're rewiring it. We're just turning on the light. It's there for all of us.
I like that. I like the way that you've placed that. Yes, it's there for all of us. It's there for all of us. Nice. And so, working with people, I'm sure after these sessions that you are physically drained, because the physical body does get tired, even though the spiritual body might not. What do you do to continue to maintain good physical health as well as mental health?
So,
Laurie.
it's a process always.
Okay.
I mean,
Thank you for your honesty.
The physical health is in my wisdom years here is all about, eating organic and just really being careful how I feed my body through all of my senses. So, like not watching something on a screen that's going to scare me or that's violent. I have to be really careful what I take in on all levels.
Oh, wow.
And that helps me to maintain my balance. As for working with clients, it took a while to build a practice. I used to be that person who, couldn't go to the mall without 8 dead people kind of trying to talk to me, but I needed to learn how to put up those boundaries. So for myself, I'm a very visual person. I have what I call a soul sanctuary, which is a big white room. I go into this visualization, and that's where I meet with my angels, my guides, my team. And at the end of the room, there's sliding glass doors, and I will open those and go out on a balcony, and that's where other people's teams can talk to me. And when they're finished, I close the doors and go back inside. So I don't find it draining to work with clients. I actually find it quite empowering.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice. And it's basically, this is a place, and once those doors are shut in the mind, or where that physical area is closed off.
Right. So once I learned how to do this, I'm okay to be out in public.
So what was happening before? You were saying that you like, I see dead people. So like you walking in the mall and folks are like, hey.
Hey, look, she can hear us. I need to get a message
they can
to
tell.
my loved one,
Okay.
But now I've got a big do not disturb sign on. They see that. And then it's my choice. If I'm with someone and I can feel some messages coming in, I can open those doors if I want to. I'm in control.
Wow, this is so fascinating. So fascinating. Wow, so amazing. So when you said that you can see the people, what are they looking like? Are they, in my mind, I'm imagining are they spirit form? Are they looking like how they've died? Are you seeing the tragedy on them that has taken them from this world?
No.
Okay.
So, a long time ago, I kind of made a deal with spirit that I only want to see the love. I
Hmm.
only want to tap into the love. So I will see a shadow, or I will get a color or an orb, and then I will connect into the love.
Hmm.
So I think there's this misconception that you're kind of, as a medium, they're coming to you and you don't have any control, but you absolutely do because you are the channel. So you're the one in charge.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. I hadn't thought so deeply about it, but it makes sense now that you've placed it, you've said it as that. Okay. Um, and what about your family now that you're living this? How does your family, your immediate family, your kids, are they on board with everything? Is it something, do they feel this is strange?
Uh, you know, Maybe 10 years ago, it was kind of, like, Mom, what are you doing? Or what is this? And now, as I work with clients and as I am on wonderful podcasts and I write articles and I've got a book going, they're just really proud of me.
Oh,
And
that's
it's
great.
showing them, that it matters to be your authentic self and to follow those intuitive whispers that guide you on your path.
Hmm. Oh, I love that because we love mom. We love mom. I'm a mom's boy, so we love mom. So to hear that is just awesome. That's, definitely. But you're right. A long time ago, maybe it would have been a little bit strange to feel
Right,
like we don't want to say this too too loudly, but
right. And
this
and I
time,
think my kids actually believed in me before I did because I know when my youngest was in, I think she was in 11th grade and she was in a psychology class and the teacher was talking about how mediums are fake and she was saying how they cold readings and all this stuff. And my daughter's friend that was sitting in front of her turned around and said, "But isn't your mom a medium?"
mm,
And then she came home and she told me, and I thought, okay, like if she believes in me and her friends are seeing this in me, then that's my clue or my impetus to believe more in myself,
mm, this is it. This is it. I love
right?
that. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I want to ask who's around that keeps you motivated?
In my physical life,
Oh, I'll
my
take both answers,
yeah.
physically and spiritually. Thank you.
So my husband of 31 years is
Yes.
always here motivating me and my four children and their partners. Um, and then in spirit, my mom and my dad and my nana and my angels and my guides. Um, I love my people here, but the love that you feel when you connect into your spiritual team is different. It's like this calming peace that feels so real and true,
Mm.
and it motivates you always.
Oh, I love that. I love that. We want that motivation for sure. So we've been talking a little bit about guidance.
Mhm.
What exactly is the intuitive guidance, and how does it differ from traditional forms of counseling or therapy?
So as I'm working with clients, I'm connecting. My spiritual team is speaking to their spiritual team, so it's on a different level because they're bringing through information that I wouldn't have access to, and either would my client. So we're looking at things from a soul perspective. So it's opening up the lens to many more possibilities of what's actually going on and what is ready to be worked through or healed.
Mm,
So it's a very different way of once we are able to connect with our own intuition. We all have an intuitive sense,
mm-hmm,
but we've been taught that maybe we shouldn't do it. It's weird or something, right?
mm-hmm. Sure.
So it's about getting quiet and connecting in for those messages that are always here for us, that bring us validation and hope and joy and love. And then in working with clients, getting them to start to connect into their own intuition while I'm also getting messages from those teams in spirit.
And how quickly are you getting the messages?
They're instant. They come very quickly, sometimes too quickly, and I have to ask them to slow them down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've been speaking about the spiritual team. Can you go into a little detail about that? I'm sure people are like, who is she talking about? Where are they at? I get it, but can you break it down a little bit more for the rest of us?
So we all have these aspects of our higher self. So we are a soul, a light being, a divine spark of light, however you see us. And then there's a piece of us, a part of us that densifies into this body. And we're always connected to those higher aspects of self. And those higher aspects are our most wonderful guides because they're us. And then we can also tap into angels, and angels are really here to just love us. Like they just love on us. And then guides or mentors who will help us when we're trying to figure something out, or we're trying to decide or get some clarity. And so we have all different types of guides that we can connect into.
Nice. And would you say that these angels are waiting for us, that they are waiting for us to command? They are at our aid at any time for us?
So that, my angels are funny. Most angels are really funny because they want us to take life not so seriously. So they will often remind me that 95% of them are unemployed. And they always make me laugh when they say that, because it's like they're talking to each other and like, oh, I tried to send a sign to my person and they didn't get it. Yeah, me either. They're not listening. They're not ready. So it's about opening up to the possibility, being curious, being full of that sense of wonder. I have angels. It feels right to me. And when we look at all of the traditions all over the world, there's always some kind of angels in every tradition. And opening up to the knowing that they're here, and that if we get quiet and we move our energy from our head into our hearts and we ask a question, we will get an answer. And it's just about trusting that when it comes, however it comes, if it's a symbol or an image or a vibration, or even if it sounds like it's in our own voice in our head, trusting that those messages are real and that they're here to support us.
Yes, definitely. Definitely they're here to support us. I like that for sure. Let me ask you, is there ever a worry, or do you have any recommendations for people who are doing, I've heard lots of people, of course, meditation is good, but people have said you have to be careful when you meditate because you open yourself up to things. You have to be careful that you're not taking in things that you're not supposed to be taking in. In dealing with this type of energy, you mentioned that you are the boss. Are there bad energies that come as well? Is it always something that is positive that you can control as the medium?
So setting the intention for me is important to connect in with the highest light, the highest good, and connect in with beings that are pure love.
Okay.
And I find in doing that is what comes to me. So when people say they don't want to open themselves up to, let's say, what do people call it, dark or dense energies, you just set the intention that you want to connect into the love and the light. That's all you have to do. It doesn't have to be hard.
Okay. Yeah, no, I wasn't sure if there was is this something that you learned as you were, or something that you always felt from the beginning, like this is the way I'm connecting?
Early on, I had one experience in a meditative journey where something came in that just didn't feel like I wanted to connect with it.
Mm-hmm.
And right away, my angels, because I had set that intention, just nudged me out of the meditation. And then I said to my angels, from here on in, you guys be in charge of just making sure it's all love and it's all connection and it's all support. And I never experienced anything after that.
Oh, okay. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's a wonder about that if, because there's lots of things there's a lot of energy that's out there, for sure.
And I think that there's a lot of fear, and when we connect in through the fear, then we might connect to things that we're not wanting to connect to.
That's
So we've
true.
got to go in with the intention of love and purity and light and the highest good for all concerned.
Thank you. I like that. We're saying that's exactly where we need to be. That's it. I wanted to ask you, are you able to travel to any levels of heaven? And if so, what is your experience of that?
So interesting. I saw this question, and it's not something I have any concept of. So I wondered if you could explain to me what you feel levels of heaven are, and then I can connect into it for you.
Sure. We believe, or there's belief that there are 5 levels of heaven.
Okay.
I've had a guest before who was another medium, and she was explaining that she is able to travel to the 5th level of heaven, and in the 5th at will. And the 5th level of heaven is where as we say, some type of library. There's books.
Okay. Right.
And she described it about how the library looked, the interesting shape of it, about the library keeper, the being who is keeping the books. And she says that she's able to read, that he calls for the book and it floats to his hand and she is able to look at them.
Right.
So I was wondering if this was something that you had experience with yourself or if you had any information
Right.
about it.
So, okay, I'm getting the concept here. So for myself, it's more dimensions, which I guess could be called levels. And
Okay.
what you're describing there for me is the Akashic records that for me are in the eighth dimension. So it's kind of maybe about how we've been told or how we've been taught.
Okay.
I've been taught by my guides, and they will teach me things that will make sense to how my brain works.
Okay.
So for me, in the eighth dimension is the temple of the Akashic records. And that holds all of the wisdom and all of the experiences of all the lifetimes. And I can tap into my team to look at a soul book. And then we're able to read the soul book. It just happens very, very quickly. And I will notice that they're working with a soul book and they're giving me information from that book.
Wow.
And then as myself, when I talked about soul sanctuary and I have this big white room, my soul books are in my soul sanctuary. So if there's something that I want to connect into, my books are there for me.
Wow, this is so amazing. Okay.
Right? It's all it's all a different, everyone has their own ways of connecting. And that's why I think it's so important for people to learn that anyone can connect and to do it the way that works for you.
That makes sense. That makes sense. How many dimensions are there for you?
So I have seen up to 12 dimensions. And in the 12th dimension, I saw myself as just an absolute being of plasmic white light.
Wow. Wow. And was there anything around you besides yourself?
That is all I was shown.
Okay.
Was because my guides will often take me on journeys, and I was shown what my soul, my spirit is in the 12th dimension, and that all the dimensions are running simultaneously,
Mm.
and that I can tap into the different dimensions at any time.
Wow, now that sounds awesome.
Yeah. It's fun, right? And that's the thing about when they say you don't need to take this life so seriously.
Mm.
And when we have that rich inner world where we're going on these journeys with our guides and we're getting information, it really makes it fun and joyful. And I think that is so important because in our human lives, sometimes that's a hard thing to find.
So true. So true, especially when there's many things happening in the world to push us in different directions. So you're so correct on that. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Let me ask you, what are 4 words that come to mind when you think of yourself?
I would say kind, gentle, resilient, and powerful.
Kind, gentle, resilient, and powerful.
Yes.
Excellent. Let's talk about these.
Okay.
You've chosen them for a specific reason. So let's talk about kind. Is kind the same as being nice?
Sometimes I think the word nice has a little bit of a connotation of being forced, where kind comes from the heart. And I think in order to embody kindness, you first have to embody kindness towards yourself.
Ooh, nice.
Right? Which means that in every situation, you are showing yourself that compassion. And once you can embody that frequency, then you're able to really you're really able to take that frequency and push it out and offer it to other people.
Yes. Nicely said. Nicely said. Super. Next was gentle. Was it gentle? Yes.
So I didn't, that kind of just came to mind. And I haven't really spent much time with it. So interesting that I would say I would pick gentle because I think it has taken me many years to find that slow way of being. And that's what gentle means to me, is just having that balance in life of being able to just flow.
Yes.
That's what gentle means to me.
Nice. Yeah, right. Just taking that time, just strolling it along, taking the time with it. Nice. And then we had resilience.
Yes. We all have experience in our lives that we are called to grow through, and many of them suck. Many of them are beautiful, and some of them are just kind of like, oh, why am I experiencing this? And I think that it cultivates a resiliency in us that no matter what is happening, we can come back to that grounded, centered light that exists within us and fill ourselves with the love of who we are. And we become resilient to life. And it's a very powerful thing that happens.
I love that. Nice. And then our final was powerful.
Right. I believe I spent a lot of my life playing small and dimming my light. And so to step into that feeling of being powerful and just allowing my light to shine is so important to me.
I love that. Just letting it be.
Just letting it be.
Nice. Well, thank you. Thank you for those words. Sometimes we don't think about ourselves in that type of way. You know, some people, we're so, especially if you are someone who's a giver and you're sharing, that we can take a moment to see where we are. How do we view ourselves? And the things that we value. It just brings us a refreshment forward of our direction and what's happening with us. So nice. Thank you for those words.
You're welcome. I think they take And I thank you for that question, because it takes us away from that being externally based
Mm,
and looking to others for how they see us, and actually tuning in and how do we see ourselves. And being internally based it's what leads to us listening to our intuition and connecting.
you're right. So right. So right. Mm. Yes, yes. Look, I'm scared of you if this is how you are at the evening time, boy. Get you in the early afternoon. It's a done deal, boy.
Right? Just flowing off me.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I want to ask you, how can connecting with our loved ones in spirit change our perspective on life?
So one of the things that I have noticed when people, when a loved one transitions and they don't have any sense of where their loved one is or if they're continuing, is that there is a great fear of death and a great fear of separation. And when we're able to connect with our loved ones and actually feel them around us and have conversations with them, and know that they're no longer incarnate, but their energy is still around us and it's with us,
Mm,
what I find happens is people lose that fear of death, and they lose that fear of separation, and they don't spend as much time in that deep, deep grief. Of
mm.
course, they wish they were still here. Of course, they crave them physically, but they have this connection, and it changes the way that their grief processes.
That makes sense. Because sometimes
Mhm.
people are really holding on,
Right.
and the person is gone, or holding on in that shell of a body that's there when their spirit is gone. So yeah, I think being able to, it makes sense if they can feel like, oh, you're still with me,
Right.
and that I can talk to you at any time, and that they are no longer in any pain or discomfort, maybe that they used to be in this physical world. So in that
Right.
sense, it's a joyous thing that now I get to have you, but you're still not, you're not hurt. You're
Right.
living your best self. So we can turn that around for them to really feel that positive energy about it. So
And we
nice.
can be in relationship with them, and I think the exciting thing about it, I mean, of course we wish they were here, but the exciting thing about it is not only do our relationships continue, they can grow and change and get deeper and be on a different level, because they are now somewhere where they have an entirely different perspective. So our relationships actually grow, and the love gets deeper on some
Wow.
level, right?
I never thought about that. Oh my goodness.
Right,
It makes sense. You're right. Well, if you say it like, wow, which makes it
right,
so like, whoa. You know what I
right.
mean?
I can give an example if that would help.
Yes,
So
please.
my dad and I didn't have a close relationship, and in fact, in the last 30 years of his life, I maybe saw him 5 times, and it just wasn't a relationship where we could connect in this lifetime. It just wasn't possible. So I was actually with him when he passed. And then after he passed, he would start to come to me, and I would be like, dude, I'm still mad at you. Like, I'm not ready to connect with you. And that went on for about 3 months. And I did, some radical forgiveness work, because it was me that needed to work on the relationship. He was no longer here. And however I was holding on to any kind of anger or bitterness, that was mine to deal with,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
So I did the work, and about 3 months after he died, my mom came through and she said, "I think you're ready." And I was like, okay." I wasn't too happy, but I was like, "If you think I'm ready, I'm ready." And he came through,
And
and
your
all
mom
of a
has already
sudden,
passed, right? This is
yes,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
So all of a sudden, I was this little girl, and I was dancing on his feet, and we were at a big party, and he became just this really funny, really almost like a magical guide for me And I was able to connect in with him and learn so much from him. And now our relationship is really, really cool. I
Oh,
love
wow.
connecting with him now.
Oh,
So once
wow.
he had passed and I did the work, then I was able to start connecting with him soul to soul.
Wow. And is
Mhm.
he one of the people who is part of your team that or is he someone who's regularly around you or
Yes,
in
yeah,
contact with you?
yes. Both my parents are. I connect with them nearly daily.
Wow.
hmm
Okay. And when you're connecting with them, do you just feel them or do you see them?
So, as I explained, my soul sanctuary, the place where I go
Yes.
to meet with my team,
Mm-hmm.
um, they will be there. I know energetically what they feel like.
Okay.
Sometimes I will see them in my mind's eye.
Mm.
I will hear them for sure. They will impress me with thoughts and emotions. And sometimes they will just, grab me and say, "Let's go on a journey. I want to show you something."
Wow.
And I will find myself, um, going to all these magical places with them.
I love that. Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you talk a little bit about frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to everyone what is it that you're talking about with frequency?
So I'm not a physicist. And I often say to my husband, tell me again what the difference is between vibration and frequency. Um, but a frequency to me is if we take an emotion, like, say, peace, peace has its own frequency. And so, if we can have a memory of something that made us feel absolutely peaceful,
hmm
then we can bring that peace into our body and allow that frequency to grow until we're embodying that frequency of peace. And then we can offer it to others. So, an example of this would be I was recently on a plane, and the gentleman beside me was definitely having a panic attack. And I brought in the frequency of calm. And without saying anything, I just gently offered it to him energetically. And I watched as he calmed down
Mm.
because his higher self was like, yeah, let's get some of that in here. Um, and
Thank you,
he,
lady.
right? I don't believe he knew anything consciously, and yet he calmed down and he was fine for the flight. So
Mm.
I didn't speak to him about it. I don't know what his experience was, but we have that ability to embody frequencies and then offer them to others.
All right, Lord, that was perfectly explained. So good. And the example was just the icing on the top. Oh, so great. So great. So great. And I love that you can share yes, that we can be able to share it with others, and to be able to embody these different frequencies.
Right.
Nice.
And
I'm sorry, please go ahead.
it's not like we're doing anything against anyone's will. We're offering, and it's up to them whether or not they receive it, right?
Yes, this is it, the key, the offer.
The offer.
Yes. Mm. And this is it, being able to for people to know that they can have this ability and that they're able to use it, for themselves and to help others is so powerful in itself. Definitely. Thank
Yes.
you for sharing that breakdown. Your husband would be so proud for you to have given that.
I will still ask him because vibration, frequency, what? But and he's a scientist, not me.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. Well, vibration, as we know in music. So, yeah, things are definitely, they're going to change. There's going to be a
Right.
change that comes with that vibration and how we use our air. So, nice. Nice. I want to ask you, what advice would you want to give someone who wanted to pursue this field and develop their own skills that wasn't given to you? And this could be personal or professional.
So if someone wanted to pursue starting to connect in with their team, with their higher self, with their angels, I think there is this misconception, and I kind of would think this, that they would come in with this big booming voice and tell you what to do, right? But it doesn't work that way. It's very subtle. It's very it's like these whispers and these nudges, and in order to hear them, you have to be present. So learn how to become present, and it doesn't have to be hard. Just know that you're going to move from your thinking mind into your heart space with probably 3 conscious breaths, and feeling that light in your heart and allowing it to grow and being really in the present moment, and then asking questions. When we're quiet is when our soul is ready to speak to us.
Ooh, wow. That was real. That is real. I always tell people that there's a lot spoken in the quiet.
Yes.
There's a lot that's said in the quiet. And when people say, I always tell them, just sit still. You haven't sat still long enough, because there's a lot going on in that silence. Definitely. Wow.
The quiet is very loud.
Yes. That's t-shirt worthy right there. Yes.
Right. Let's make that t-shirt.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I have a t-shirt printer for sure. I'm going to give you the credit for it, though. I'm going to put LP at the bottom. For sure. Wow. That was great. That was great. Nice advice as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any goals that you are setting now to affect a better or more productive future?
I think for me, it's about balance. It's about knowing the magic in the pause and not having to push so much or achieve so much. It's more about knowing how much, as we were just talking, happens in the quiet, how much happens in the pause, spending that time in nature, that time within, and allowing the integration for everything that I'm receiving. And when I'm in that place of balance, then I easily step into places of flow where I get tons of stuff done. And then I know when to step back into pause. So it's about balance for me.
Is this a new area that you've been working in or focusing in for yourself, or has this been a journey in your time?
It's definitely been a journey.
Okay.
I think probably the last 2 or 3 years, I'm really able to know when to be in the flow and when to be in the pause.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. And this is it for myself. It's been patience. It's been something that's been, I've been working on for years. And yes, we need to know these areas that we want to be focused in, because when you have them focused, or you have them, like you say, balanced, then so many other things can fall into place.
Right.
And so just working on ourselves, I think, is really great, that we have to be prepared to do the work, and people are ready to do the work and other things, but we have to work on ourselves. It is key, especially if we're in positions of leadership or places that we are going to be teaching and working with others, that we want to feel that we are constantly growing as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Right. It's, it's about turning down that outer noise and turning up the inner senses, and knowing the balance, right? And knowing the patience is a hard one for a lot of people, because when we want things to happen and they don't happen, we need to sit back and trust in that divine timing.
This is it, right? You just have to sit back and, and while you're trusting, not kicking rocks, not kicking while or still being upset while you're sitting. Because there's a difference in sitting in patience and sitting because, you have to sit and you're not happy to sit there and there's still a little scruffle. So it's been able to just sit in that silence and just wait. And forget about it. Just try not to feel like that's on my thought. Keep on living and doing what's going on. But for myself, that's been part of my journey for sure.
So when we're trying to manifest certain things in our life, I like to think of it as, when we get into a restaurant and we order something for dinner, we just sit back and enjoy ourselves and wait. We trust that it's coming, right? We
Yes.
don't keep stopping the waiter and changing our order and worrying about our order and overthinking our order.
So
We
true.
make a decision and we wait for it. And oftentimes I will get downloads or messages, and then nothing will come for 3 or 4 months or a year. And it's just about trusting
Mm,
that it'll come in the right time.
mm. This is it. This is
Mm-hmm.
it. So there have been moments as well for you that you just mentioned that there's been breaks where you haven't been, seeing anything or receiving anything. And in that time, you just feel like, okay, I'm on break now. Nothing needs to happen. Or is things still happening or just not at the same rate of maybe that they would at certain other times?
I think it comes in waves. I mean, definitely there's times when there's more coming. And when I feel like I'm a little bit, not disconnected, but things seem a little bit, muted or something, I just always go back to basics, go back to that breath work, go back to tapping, go back to listening to guided meditations, just go back to the basics. And then, with that intention of kind of resting, then it will start to flow again.
That makes sense. That makes sense. What is tapping?
So tapping, EFT, it's about tapping on different
Oh,
meridians in your body,
okay.
and tapping out things that you want to release, and then tapping other things back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a guest some years back talked a little bit about tapping. Now I understand what you're meaning by that. Yes. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense
Mhm.
about that. Nice.
Yeah.
What do you, in the years coming in, um, how do you see your work? What is it that you like to be able to be doing for your own personal work? TED Talks, where do you see your journey moving for the future to be able to enlighten more people or to reach more people?
So, I mean, I love doing one-on-one sessions. I
Oh,
really
okay. Nice.
do. And I also like working with groups. I've had a couple opportunities for stage work of late, and that has
Wow.
just lit me up as someone who was very shy. Hit the stage and those lights are there, and I just felt like I was in my element. And I'm also a writer, so
Oh,
working
wow.
on some books that hopefully will help people to find their own light in their own way.
I love that you're writing books. I was going to ask you about the books. Okay, nice. That's great.
Mhm.
Is something going to be happening this year, or should we expect something this year? Not to jump into your business, but or next
You know,
year.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Thank you for
There's a
your
couple
honesty.
of books on the way, and it's just about they're downloaded, they're channeled books, so it's just waiting for having the patience,
Mm.
knowing that it'll come through when it comes through.
Okay. Wow, how exciting. That
Hmm.
sounds nice. For sure. I think it's always nice to have those things down in books. Some people are readers. My mom is a huge reader. Some people enjoy listening to things. So to have that variety out is nice that people can pick up something that they're in the area that they enjoy to still be able to get a message. So,
Right.
oh, excellent, excellent. Um, and you said the book, did you say there was something else? Oh,
Um,
I said TED Talk.
yeah,
I put you out
you
there.
said TED Talk. Yeah, you
You
did.
said stage and light, so I said it. I
Yeah,
said it.
yeah, there you
Is
go.
that something that you're interested to do? Something like that on that type of platform?
And you know what? I wouldn't count it out.
Well, then there it is. There it is, right? So
Right?
to be open, to be willing to have that. So yeah, I think it would be great. I think it would be really exciting. I think that this area is a place where a lot of people are interested in.
Hmm.
And there's lots of information out there, some true, some not so true, but that we can just get the information about how people can learn to work better with themselves, giving them the tools, the skills, is what I always say to my students, that my goal is to fill your toolbox with tools and things to use when Chris is not there.
Right.
That you're able to say, gosh, what do I need to do right now in this fix? And that you can dig through and pull out 2, maybe 3 things that you can do. So in this type of situation as well, that you are empowering people to be able to have the knowledge, the understanding, to be able to show forth and bring forth their own ability to be able to talk and communicate with the beings that are there to help us. So that's
Right.
Awesome. That's super, super great.
And you're right. So many people are interested in this now, because we're going through this big shift in consciousness where people are becoming aware that they're so much more than their physical bodies and their physical life. So it's really interesting that people are curious, and it's important to just discern what is right for you and what works for you, and not to follow somebody just because they are a big voice or a person that has been doing this for years. Discern what is right for you,
Yes.
and that's what will lead you on your path.
Yes, Laurie, you're right. Discernment is important. Follow that intuition, follow that voice. Yes, being able to know like if this is for you or not for you. That is huge. That is huge. I like to ask this final question to my guests. Is your glass half empty or half full?
Neither. I'd say it's refillable.
Oh, yes. I love it. The last guest I was saying, they were like, does anybody else answer this differently? And I'm like, everybody answers this differently every time. So I love it. It's refillable. Yes. We can keep on putting more and more in it. Finish it off and keep on putting more in it. Yes. What a lovely answer. I love it. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
I would say that we are all capable of deep levels of healing in all areas of our life. And that leads us to self-love and this connection to our intuition so that we can live a life filled with abundance and magic.
I love that. Yes, we love a little magic. Please tell everyone how they can reach you if they're interested to find out more about you, or if they'd like to have that one-on-one private session with you.
So my website is laurieparente.com, and I'm on Instagram at Laurie Parente, and I have just started a YouTube channel, and guess what? It's Laurie Parente.
Yes, and that's all one word. And all of this information will be underneath the information for the podcast when it's released. So we know people don't have pencils and pens in their hands anymore. So it will be there for them to find you just in case they forgot or they've misspelled your name. But we'll have it sorted out for them to see.
Thank you.
Laurie, thank you so much for your time this evening. It has been a pleasure. You have really given us some wonderful things to think about, some amazing nuggets of knowledge, and some great advice and wisdom. We are so happy to have had you today on Glass Half Full. Thank you.
Thank you. So grateful to be here.
Oh, the pleasure is all ours. You have a wonderful evening. Get yourself some rest. Thank you for this late chat. We'll talk to you real soon. Thank you. Hello, listeners of Glass Half Full. Thank you for tuning in to another inspiring episode of our podcast. I'm your host, Chris Levins, and I want to express my gratitude to each and every one of you for being a part of our supportive community. Remember, Glass Half Full is not just a podcast. It's a safe platform for everyone to share their life experiences. Your stories and voice matter, and we appreciate you for being here with us. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to stay updated with our future content, please subscribe, follow, and rate our podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us reach even more listeners who can benefit from these valuable life experiences. As we wrap up this episode, always keep in mind, you are blessed. No matter the challenges you face, there's a reservoir of strength within you. Until next time, stay positive. And remember, the glass is always half full. See ya!